Back here at Safe Harbor Financial in Daphne with Jim Bird. Jim, if the folks joined us last time, they know we're talking about mutual funds and the 8 things that you need to know. We're referencing in this guide right here, which Jim will give you a free copy of if you call or stop by. But last time we touched on 1 through 4. Today we're doing 5 through 8. So let's start with number 5. Will the loss of talented mutual fund managers hurt?
Yeah, you've got to know the manager and how long the manager's been there, because a lot of mutual fund managers now are jumping to the hedge funds. Hedge funds now have over $3 trillion. Hedge funds. So you got to know the manager. The new manager may not have the same philosophy and the goals that the other manager had. So you got to know who's managing the fund currently.
Do you think people are confused by the misleading ads and limited disclosure that's out there with all these things?
Sure they are. There's a lot of misleading ads out there. A lot of funds will, for instance, they will say a United States income fund. Sounds like it would be composed mostly of fixed income investments. In fact, only 20% of it may be in that, and the other 80% in stock-related funds. Because only 80% of the assets in a particular fund have to be tied up to the name of the fund.
And if people are out there looking at all this stuff, they might not know what they're looking at, but you guys are looking at this stuff all the time. That's why someone like yourself will definitely help out in this situation.
Well, they got to check with us. We research the funds and see what people have. We'll look at what they've got and tell them, the true cost of what they've got and the true risk of what they have. Joe?
All right, on to number 7. What is the difference between a bond mutual fund and a bond?
Well, a bond, an actual bond, it decreases in the risk as you get closer to maturity and the interest rate of that, but a bond fund never does. A bond fund has no maturity date. So you got to know that. And so, some of these, the fund people that do the bond funds make their money by leveraging to increase, the payout of internal fees and other commissions when they know what's going on in the fund.
And we're talking about a lot of different stuff here. So how deep does this kind of murky river flow?
Well, there's a lot of hidden costs involved in mutual funds, and we'll talk about a couple of them now. It's called soft dollar payments. Instead of paying cold hard cash to funds for recommending their certain mutual fund, they pay it indirect stuff that's fed back to the client that owns the fund. So they have to pay for it. And so, it's just saying you recommend our fund to us and we'll do that. The other one is called shelf space payments, okay, or platform fees is another way to put that. And that's where they make sure that their mutual fund is recommended first to their clients. But it's like shelf space in a grocery store, where people pay to have eye-level products. And that's the same thing there. So these payments are passed on to the consumer. And they got to understand that, but you won't see that in any prospectuses out there.
Well, speaking of consumers, you want your consumers who are watching this to know is that they don't have to know everything. They don't have to be knowledgeable of all these things where they're talking about. They can come get a consultation with you and you can help them through all this.
You've got to know somebody that experienced on both sides of the fence, and I know it all after 31 years. Not all, both sides of the fence, but I know I've dealt with this, and so I can help them. We'll give them a free income and tax analysis, free analysis, a risk analysis, a cost analysis, and they can still free to go somewhere else if they want to do that.
All right, but if you're looking for advice, you can stop here at Safe Harbor Financial and talk to Jim Bird. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joe.